Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today I'll be reviewing my early bird race series. It's kind of annoying. I'll be reviewing the early bird race series in this video. And as you can see, this is the first race of 3 in May that are held in Fremont, California. So just to kick off the race, we did a couple of drills with the whole field. Practiced single file rotations and single file pulls around this 490-degree turn for right-hander course. Um, it was pretty easy going to start. The biggest thing I was starting to notice were the fact that there were two groups that got split off in the beginning. So again, just because the field was pretty big, we really just got separated at the beginning. We kind of already knew that half the pack was gonna just make a go for it and try to get a breakaway. But the second pack was doing pretty good in the beginning, just to make sure we were staying in a similar format as we did in the drills. Not single file, obviously, but probably double wide the first couple laps. There were a couple guys that were trying to make early moves, and it really was just bait for the rest of the field because it moral of the story is when things like this were happening for me at this race, I noticed it got really surgy and I was really wasting a lot of energy trying to chase or stick with some of these efforts, some of these attacks, as they would say. But I really was just trying to stay on someone's wheel. Again, I was getting comfortable with staying close to someone's wheel. We just made the turn. Was this turn 4? Yeah, we made turn 4. This is where the finish line is. But after this turn, I really started to recognize how beneficial it was to stay in someone's draft. Um, you can see we've probably slowed down a lot uh, just by the look of um, this field right now. Um, it, as you can see, like there's kind of a yo-yo effect um, going on right here, where this guy pulls away, and then I have to make a surge effort to try to close the gap, especially going into this turn. But I was still hesitant to stay super close to people. Um, so for me at the beginning, just because I was still a little nervous, I really didn't want to have too small of a gap. So I was really kind of paying the price in the first couple laps because I was utilizing way more effort than I would have if I would have been on the right hand side of this big guy in the neon jersey. And then this, I noticed how wide I took this turn when like 7 dudes just like came inside. Um, when 7 dudes just like took the inside of this corner. Um, as you can see, I got trapped in the wind, and then the amount of effort I had to put in to try to stick with those guys was super frustrating. And then just trying to catch up with them again, um, it was like I was trying to save some energy and just kind of coast until we got to the turn where I was expecting them to slow down. That was the case in the first couple turns, um, but again, this yo-yo effect, as they keep calling it, um, made this race really surgy. So I would be coasting on like 0 watts going into a turn, and then just trying to like drop my gear and make a solid pull before I went into the headwind. And as you can see here, we're going back into the headwind. So I really tried to get on this guy's wheel, but that huge gap, I mean, that's monstrous. Like as the instructor was saying, you could drive a Cadillac through this thing. It was really not helping me at all. So I was able to pull it back a little bit here, and some of the mentors on the left were kind of guiding us, making sure we're either staying single file or not letting anyone in front of us make too many leave too many gaps. But yeah, I mean, just looking at how wavy the guys are in front of me, there's really not a solid draft besides like a single rider draft. Like the guy in front of me, slightly to the right. So I guess in terms of uh, an efficient draft right now, it's literally probably like a 20% benefit I'm getting. And now, as you can see, as he pulls away, it's like, all right, no draft anymore. So really having to exert myself going into these turns or pulling out of these turns. So again, this is beginner level right here in terms of how close I am, and then what I should be is really just on this guy's wheel directly behind him, kind of like um, tucked behind him, so that I'm using all of his draft. Because as you can see, like the rider's in front of me, the guy on the left with the tarmac, that like the rainbow or like the lime green and ruby tarmac, like he's out in the wind, and the guy behind him is just kind of trying to tack onto his wheel. But again, you can kind of see through the rider in front of me that um, there's probably still like a 2 foot gap, and we're all really just staggered. Which as a beginner field, like this is the novice field, we we really should have done better after doing the skills training, um, to really stay single file and utilize the draft. Um, I mean, right now, like I really don't have a quality draft. Like it's look at, like there's no single file, there's no solid lines by any riders in the pack in a drafting position. Um, we're all just so tentative to get shoulder to shoulder or wheel to wheel, um, and the mentors are just kind of just watching us go by, getting really surgy. So here's the guy with the tarmac again, and then the lime green jersey or the the jersey in front of me. Um, I tried to stick with his wheel for a couple laps, as you'll see, but again, this surginess that this race had, um, I kept looking at like the time of the race, and I was like, it's only been like 8-10 minutes, and my legs are already feeling super fried. So I was trying to just find a wheel and stick with them, but because the race was super surgy, like there was no really like right here, everyone's dropping to 0 watts. We really should just be pedaling through this and just having a fluid motion. But because of that, um, as you can see, thick boy in front of me is able to just plow down more watts than me, going into pulling out of these turns. So uh, I was really just having trouble staying on someone's wheel. As you can see right here, the the pack is really starting to get away from me. Um, Again, in my experience and probably from my inexperience, I really was just misutilizing my energy going into turns and coming out of turns. So right now, look, everyone is essentially dropping me. Like even the mentors who are coming in to try to give some advice to each pack. Again, because there's 2 packs in this race, um, just literally just dropped me. It really was not fun right here. I was starting to rethink my whole Criterium racing efforts. Um, but I stuck with it and was really just looking for some small successes. Anytime I would either have someone pass me on my left or right, just kind of see them as my next wheel to try to chase down. Um, and really just a lot of just putting my head down and pushing through. I really just tried to focus like in these moments where I was essentially by myself and I was gonna have to tackle the wind by myself. I was gonna have to take better lines into the corners by myself and stuff like that. I was really just focusing on getting into a better gear, and getting a high cadence so that any energy I was putting out was relatively efficient. Given that there's a huge headwind here, I really was just trying to conserve energy, which ends up being one of the reasons I probably got restarted. Um, and just a quick shout out to the mentors at this race. They did a hell of a job restarting us. Way better than what I had in Chowchilla. Chowchilla would literally pull us over in the headwind, come to a complete stop, um, and then try to chase the pack down at this ridiculously like late restart. So it was just super frustrating, and probably one of the biggest reasons why I didn't enjoy the race as much as I could have was just because of how surgy I had to be anytime I was getting restarted. So again, right here, I'm pretty much dropped. I'm saving my legs. I know there's going to be another field probably coming around that I would like to save my energy to latch onto and hopefully tuck in. Um, but it was really just not fun at this time. Right here, it was just recover, um, and just essentially race this this lap or two solo. Um, and just luckily, I was I didn't have to deal with or think about safety when I was riding solo, which kind of was a slight peace of mind. Riding the packs was getting me a little nervous, but I really started to think about the course and what each segment of the course was really going to benefit. I was really going to be able to benefit from. Um, so in this segment, the wind was in my direction that I was heading, so I was really able to kind of minimally increase my effort and start to catch the dude in front of me. So you'll see that I do that. I I don't remember if I catch him going into this turn or coming out of this turn. I just remember being like, all right, this is the last stretch before we get into the headwind, and if I have to do that headwind by myself again, it's gonna be killer on my legs. So I start looking at this dude. Um, I try to pull up to him, and I pretty much just yell like, "Hey, let's work together." And I'll take a pull, and you'll see me like pull up in front of him, and then sit back down. Going into this headwind, like I said, I didn't want to do it alone, so I just figured since I was able to catch him pretty efficiently going into that the previous turn, I would just try to make some use out of being in a two pack group. So then I kind of flicked my elbow and asked him to pull through, and he did. And then he he was uh, a good wheel. I just again in terms of just being efficient in my pedal stroke, I kind of stopped pedaling, waiting for him to come through, and then again I had to try to surge. Look at this! Look at this gap. Like this, essentially, I should have just done this whole thing, this whole stretch by myself, because I didn't stick in his wheel. I look. He still has like 6 bike lengths in front of me. Um, so that was pretty frustrating in terms of trying to make use of someone's wheel. Um, and again, just noticing that going into these turns, I really wasn't going to benefit much from not pedaling through. So on this left hand side, you'll see one of the mentors. I believe his name was Drew. He gave a little spiel in the at the start line. So he pretty much just tells me, "Hey man, chill. Let your legs recover. We're going to restart you with the pack that's coming around behind you." So here's the lead group. They're trying to work a single file train, and then I believe about probably going into the turn is when the remaining pack comes up to us. Look, catch this dude's wheel because he's trying to recover. And essentially, this is what I should have done the entire headwind section, is at least this closer. So I mean, as you can see, the dude's passing behind me. You'll see how much of a gap. Yes, they're in like a small pack, but the the draft efficiency is it's not great. Like you can tell, like this is you can easily tell this is a novice group just because of how staggered we are. So again, I let that pack essentially just breeze by. My legs were just not cooperating. Like I was in the right gear. It's just my cadence was low, and I couldn't really get the power I wanted out.
Probably because of how surgy it was the first couple laps.
Again, that's probably because of how surgy the first couple laps were. So yeah, here comes like the latter half of that pack. Yeah, again, these turns were just really frustrating, even when I wasn't going to the headwind. Um, I don't know. I really don't know what I should have been doing better at this point. I just like these riders to my left and right were thinking the same thing I was thinking. Like, all right, are we even gonna be able to get in a pack? Like, are we even gonna have fun at this point? Like, we still have half the race to go, and we're we're just out here soloing. So this is us getting um, actual restart on the stretch, which props to them. They restarted us in like in a tailwind, not a headwind, uh, because we were really freaking struggling taking that last turn to the finish line. Um, Anytime we were trying to catch a pack. Is that neon tarmac again? Yeah, for a novice field, a lot of these guys all had like Pinarellos, tarmacs with aero wheels, like full 10,000, $12,000 builds, which was super funny. Um, so again, this is the headwind turn or the headwind stretch where, I mean, looking back at it now, I really should have just saved literally all of my energy and tucked in. But no, like me trying to, boost my morale at this point was like, I'm gonna hop on the wheel of this mentor because he's gonna pull up to probably mid pack, and I'll just latch onto someone else's wheel. So I did that and I latched onto this guy's wheel. But again, inexperience is gonna be the death of me this race because I am still in the headwind. Like I wasn't tucked behind this guy's wheel after I dropped off the mentor's wheel, and going into this turn, look at this gap that I'm just leaving. I should literally be, you know, 6 inches tops from this guy's wheel. That or at least in between, the two lines, because I'm really not getting any draft. And with these races, it's kind of imperative that you save your energy. It's not about working as hard as you think your legs can hold up. It's about knowing how much power your legs will give you, um, and just using it only when necessary. Otherwise, I really should just be maintaining a pretty easy cadence and tucking behind people's wheels. Um, these surgery efforts really were just toasting me left and right. So I think for luckily this early bird race series has 3 races in May that I should be able to attend. So I guess just going forward, I really just want to make sure that I'm just getting a higher cadence with easier efforts. If I do need to be surgy, um, to stay with the pack, or really just tuck in to someone's wheel. Like one person would literally have made my life way easier if I just stuck to the wheel the entire race. But I didn't do so. I wasn't able to really hold on to someone's wheel for more than, I don't know, like 45 seconds, which is kind of frustrating because the entire race I probably just raced solo.